Means live, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday night, 8 p.m. here, Central Standard Time. As you always know, it is the We Outside live cast where we do unscripted, authentic, real conversation. So anybody that might be tuning in to us the first time, or anybody that's joining us once again, we thank you either way, and always just remind you to go ahead and if you're down with real conversation, y'all need to stay locked into this situation. And it's really that simple with us. And we have always special guests and two friends and family of mine now. And it's really because I had the pleasure of meeting with and being a part of Danielle and T.W.'s talk show, Getting Close Up. Let me get that right. That's right, too. Yep. It took place in Kansas City, Kansas. And they're actually on the set of their new show that we're going to be doing. So we're going to very much get into that today. But they run Getting Up Close through Sanctuary Entertainment and a couple other things as well. So we are very much going to get that in tonight. We have a whole lot to talk about, but that's enough for me for the time being. I want to throw it over to my family members here and the newest family of the We Outside live cast, Danielle and TW. And go ahead, in your own words, just let the people know who you are, what you're about, and we're just going to talk from there.
That's what's up. I'm Danielle, and I'm the host of Getting Close Up. It's a show for independent artists and creatives of all kinds. We talk to everyone, regardless of what their discipline is, and even businesses that support creatives and independent artists. So that's what the show does. And I'm the host, and then T.
I am the producer of Getting Close Up, as well as the CEO of the Sanctuary Entertainment, which Getting Close Up is one of the shows underneath Getting Sanctuary.
Yeah, the Sanctuary is basically a multimedia production company, and so it encompasses music production, TV shows, obviously, other kinds of content, commercials, a lot of different things. You have a lot of different skill sets. And then I learned a million things, so here we are.
We are going to get into all of that. Where I first want to start, I always appreciate and love when we can have a group such as yourselves, a combo such as yourselves that are in media and do something foundationally, anyways, similar in nature to us. Because it's always fun when we get to talk to other hosts and other producers and pick their brains a little bit and see the whys behind what it is that they do. And we're going to, of course, get into all of that. But where I first want to start, how did you guys meet? How did this pair come together for Getting Close Up and anything else that y'all two are working on through Sanctuary Entertainment or anything else that you got going on?
So we both work in the finance industry, and I'll just keep it there. But we met at the company that we both used to work at, and my boss got fired unceremoniously, and he replaced her.
There you go.
So
that happens.
Yeah, that's how it happens. And it was funny because he had been around for almost 20 years by that point at the company, and I had been around for almost 10 maybe at that time. And people had talked to me about him and said things about him, but the main thing they said was, "Oh, y'all are gonna get along because he's also a Prince fan. He's a big Prince fan. Y'all will get along." And I'm like, "Well, I hope so."
Is there anything else you heard about me?
Look,
but at least that one was right, right? That one was at least right.
Yes, that was right.
That's the one that was accurate. So we pretty much hit it off right away, for better or for worse. The dynamic of working together in that capacity can land to friends or enemies, and we became friends through that. And then so when we both stopped working there, he was like, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you to work on this project that I've been thinking about." At the time, the project was supposed to be a radio show.
Okay.
And he was like, because he's been an artist for a long time, an independent artist for a long time with a gospel group, and he's produced others and worked on songs, written a lot of music. He's got a lot of stuff in his own personal vault. And he was like, hey, I don't know how I would get on the radio. Like, I don't know how my music would get heard, but I want to help other people be seen and be heard. So we're going to do this radio show. I've always wanted to do radio. I love music. I love talking to people. So I said, yeah, bet. But then somewhere along the line, it changed from being a radio show to a YouTube talk show. And I realized I had to be on camera, but I still agreed to do it. So here we are.
There you go. What was the hesitancy, if any, Danielle, may I ask real quick? And the reason I ask is because, again, when I got to do the talk show with you and just getting to see some of your episodes, it seems like it comes fairly natural to you, and you definitely have at least from, take it for what it's worth, from my vantage point, you definitely have the personality and the persona for it in that respect as well. So just curious what your hesitancy was from going to, I'm definitely down to a radio, doing a radio show, but now we're going to be on camera doing this. What was that like for you?
Before you go there, I did want to touch on that a little bit, because before this opportunity came about, I think I'm pretty good at recognizing talent, and I saw something in her. And so one of my old writing partners, he has a production company, and he was always looking for a host for this show or that show. And I would always approach her for it and say, I think this is your lane. You should do this. You should do this. And she would always say no. So I was just like, oh my God. So then when this opportunity came open, I was like, I'm gonna try her one more time. And this time she actually said yes.
All right, so what I'm gonna do, Danielle, before I have you answer the question that I asked you, T, how'd you get her to say yes?
I told her it was a radio show. And then,
just leaving out one of the important details about it, but hey, if it works, it works, and it clearly has. But y'all been doing this for a minute, so now, go ahead, T. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so in exploring the radio show, I started figuring out, oh my God, I gotta pay royalties and all that. And I was like, yeah, I ain't got that right now. Mm-hmm. And I bought a bunch of video equipment. I've done a couple of music videos for my group and another artist in town. And so I had bought some camera equipment, and then my niece wanted to do a podcast. So I bought some more equipment to go along with that. And she kind of flaked on me. So I had all this equipment. So I was like, well, I can't afford all the royalties, but I can flip this into a talk show. So
you pivoted, but that's what intelligent, smart, and resourceful people do. Instead of just giving up on yourself or that opportunity, you pivoted. And by telling Danielle that it was a radio show, you got her to commit.
Yeah, we went to lunch when she was leaving where we were working, because I left first. When she was leaving, I was like, I'll take you out to lunch for congratulations. And we were sitting there at lunch, and we were talking about the radio station. And I was like, oh, and by the way, now you're going to be on camera. And anyway, she was like, wait, hold on.
What?
All right, so now it becomes a two-part question, Danielle. What was the hesitancy? And then when you found out it wasn't a radio show, what was your reaction?
So my hesitancy came from lifelong social anxiety that was masked by my gregariousness naturally. Those two things can't exist at once, and a lot of people don't expect that. Mm-hmm. But I, always, even as a little kid, when you'd have to do the school plays and stuff like that, I would want to do it, and I'd see myself doing it, but I would be terrified of doing it, of just the perception of people, you know what I'm saying? And so I'd always been like that. But there were other little ways that I found my voice as a young person, like going into drama club and going into debate and forensics and things like that to kind of crack that shell. And so it lessened over time, but I still had it a lot.
I can
And
appreciate.
being on camera and being on the internet on camera was just like, it felt overwhelming to hear that, to go from saying no all the time and not doing really anything with the the way I of the things I imagined myself doing in my head, but not really doing anything with it out loud. It just jolted me. But that one last time when he asked me, I was at a pivotal point in my life where I was like, well, I'm tired of saying no to stuff because it's resulting in me doing nothing and the days are bleeding together. It was around the time of the pandemic. It was a lot happening. And it was just felt like the right time to say yes. And I knew that if I said yes, I had to start working on myself on those things to be ready, because once I said yes to something he was going to do, he was going to do it. Like, it was going to start and it was going to happen. There wasn't no say yes and then maybe we can flake out of it somewhere. That was not going to happen with him. I learned that about him while he was my manager. So that prepared me to know what I was going to be dealing with, for the most part, when it came along. And as far as my reaction at the time, I was already pissed because the restaurant we went to, they gave him his food first. My food took forever. I think I got my food for free.
Yeah.
Because they messed up my order. So I already was like, but I knew that I had already said yes to this. And I'd already started preparing myself,
There you go.
being ready for the yes. And so I said yes again.
I love it. So usually the follow-up question there would be, sometimes you got to jump into the fear of the unknown, but this was kind of the fear of the known, right?
Yeah.
And then, how do you feel that has empowered you to get over those thoughts that you once previously had? And then I got something related to this as well. Once Danielle's done, giving a response to that.
Well, the funny thing about saying yes to things is you start achieving things. Whether you're moving slow or things go fast or you do it well or you do it great or you stumble, you have achieved something that you hadn't before. And that becomes the step up that gives you perspective. Would I rather go up another step or go back a step? And going back a step no longer became an option. So the more I said yes to things and the more that I kept doing things, going down stopped looking appealing. Saying no didn't look good anymore.
And I think once we started getting into it, the mission,
Yes.
because do we eventually want to be able to make a living and be able to, let this support us and just focus on this? Yes, we would love to do that. But greater than that is our mission to highlight the independent creative.
Exactly.
And when I say mission, I truly believe it's a mission. We can come up with other shows, but this show, Getting Close Up, will always be about independent artists and creatives.
No, I love that. We're going to touch on that because that's something I wanted to touch up on. But T, you had said earlier, you had kind of tapped Danielle on the shoulder for this because you saw something in here, something in her, excuse me. The things that she saw in herself that made her a little hesitant to be more on camera at that moment, as she had shared, is that something that you respectfully disagreed with? Or do you feel there was some weight to that respectfully from how Danielle, mentioned and described that? And if so, what steps do you feel that you had to take in order to help her on that journey? And I ask it for this reason as well, because y'all are very much a team. I can feel it, not just in this conversation, but from the couple times that we've been together in person. That trust is there, right? So let me circle back specifically on the question. Did you see that same thing that Danielle kind of saw herself to lead to some kind of hesitancy? And if so, what steps do you feel that you had to take to help her along as that team member, to help her along on that path?
I wouldn't say I saw that as much as I didn't see her recognizing who she is. And being her manager, that even was in our work scenario, and we would talk about it all the time. I don't think she was at a place in her life to be able to see, this is my potential. This is who I can really be. And I just thought, anybody that knows Danielle knows that she can talk on any subject, and she just has all this useless information in her head. I'm just
I
like,
do.
how does she know that? She knows more about Kansas City than I do, and she's from Milwaukee. And I'm like, how do you know about that? And she just digs, and if she finds it interesting, she's gonna dig and try to figure it out. And I'm just like, that's a gift because not everybody has that, and be able to retain it. I don't know half the lyrics that I write. I can't sing a full song, right? So, how does she remember all this information and know all? And it was perfect because she's a music head. And so on the show, she talks about all these different genres of music and she knows all these artists. And so she could talk to all the different genres and talk about their inspirations with them because she knows it. I'll write a song and she was like, "Oh, that bridge reminds me of," and I'm like, "Who?" So I was like, "Well, I didn't steal it because I don't know who they are."
I probably should go on a copyright law.
Hey, why not? A hustle is a hustle, and it diversifies and only continues to create the value that you have within yourself. So I don't know, maybe you have something there, Danielle. It's very, very
possible.
So the mission, I very much want to touch on that, and you already answered a question that had kind of come up into my mind, T, earlier by saying that this will, getting close up will always be for the independent artist. You had spoken about obviously why you had started it, being an artist yourself. So I'll ask this then. Why do you feel it is important? Because I salute exactly what you said. Why do you, from both of your perspectives, and I'll start with UT first, respectfully, why is that important to you in the Getting Close Up platform to make sure that it is going to remain and always be about the independent artist?
Because, like I said, I look at it as a mission. I mean, I grew up since being in high school, being in all kind of different bands, getting into writing songs. I was always usually the lyricist or the producer, and then when my musicians started acting up, then I started writing the music. Right. So I've totally been blessed to be given the gift of creativity, and as I look at all of the social medias and the outlets that everybody has, all I was seeing was the popular ones were the clickbait and the housewife shows and those type of things. Everybody trying to go after some celebrity to make a name for themselves, which that's fine for anybody. That's what they want to do, but being an independent artist myself, I feel like there's so much talent out there, so many people that have voices that we just don't get to hear from because nobody ever gives us a chance. And so as I set out on to do the radio station, again, it was because I was sending out my first single. I was sending out everywhere. I put package together. We even got envelopes, custom envelopes, sent them out. With your picture, your link to the music, everything. We were trying to be so different. We even got the hard the what are they called, the
discount something.
yeah. So and we put the music on that too, and we got them shaped as the logo of the group and sent it out just so that we would stand out.
Yeah.
Did we get anybody to respond? No. And we looked specifically for independent radio stations and weren't getting anybody to respond. And I was just like, how do you give other people a voice that have the gift, the talent? Maybe they didn't like what we were producing, and that's fine.
Right.
But it just led me to think, how can we give a voice to the people that don't have them?
No, I love it. And I support that part of the mission as you described it as well, T, because I think even, you had mentioned social media there and all this clickbait and shit that's out there these days. we talk about music being oversaturated with everything going on with like your Spotify's and other DSPs and whatnot. I think we're very much at a point in time where I think it might, the argument could be made anyways, where shit, social media is oversaturated at this point in time as well. Like for sure, like almost dying. Like I feel like Instagram specifically, even right now, is more an opportunity, or it's more utilized by the algorithm itself. I'll say specifically that way, where it's more used as marketing and commercials for people than it actually was intended to be built. And obviously things change along the way as well. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that. But I think my point is that social media is very much becoming or is oversaturated as well. So I like how you put that there as well. And then, Danielle, coming back to you on that question as well. What's the importance for you as the host of getting close up to subscribe to that same mission? And where do you feel the value is for the platform as a whole as well in sticking to that mission?
Yeah. So for me, before all of this, I didn't have any idea about the Kansas City scene, anything like that specifically about independent artists. I just love art. I love art. I love all kinds of art. I love music. It's an appreciation that I've had my whole life. And when I started being exposed to the people that were out here that we were looking to give a voice to, it it sparked something in me because one of the first interviews that I did was a test interview because we kind of did some testers to get me comfortable and so we could figure out what we were doing. And I was speaking to a woman who was very talented herself, but she told the story of her mother who um, like gave up on singing
Mm.
and gave up on because of life and things going on and not thinking that it could be lucrative or not thinking that anybody could, it would have any value, you know, and it broke my heart. And then I thought about my own mother, who was a very talented classical and jazz pianist who, um, she put everything off to the side. She still had that desire because she passed it down to me, her love of music, but she died with it not being seen or not doing anything with it, not even for her own enjoyment anymore. And I see all these people who are working hard to make things happen for themselves. And I'm just like, they deserve all of this. And if this is what I'm going to use my talent for, this is what I'm going to brush it off for, then it matters to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I will do this because I'm meeting these people. I'm hearing their stories. I'm seeing their faces. I'm hearing their music, the thing that they poured their heart into. I'm becoming a fan. I'm like, I feel like my heart is connecting with theirs. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I can't give it up for that reason. So that's why the word mission is going to come up a lot and why it's so important. And even in this world of oversaturation, mission and heart and purpose is what's important. You can be oversaturated, but if we reach the people that we need to reach and they find value because they see how much we care about it and that our intention is to give care to their story, then that it doesn't matter how oversaturated all the fluff gets because the cream rises to the top.
Yeah, say that again. And that's a value meal in and of itself. McDonald's got nothing on that. And I will eat that value meal that you just said all day, every motherfucking day, straight up. So thank you, because that was very well put. It really was. And I want some fries with that too, please and thank you. You said something important that struck this in me. You talked about sustainability, and I very much agree with you though too, because when we talk about oversaturation, whether it's music, whether it's content, social media, whatever the case is, you spoke on the importance of your mission, which I think a lot of art of any kind, whether it's content creating with what you're doing with this mission of getting close up, musicians, artists, businesses, even right when it's independent anything. Let's just
Exactly.
Yeah.
group it that way, right? I think a lot of people get lost, especially in today's 24-second news cycle, where it's like, I got to get the likes, I got to get the likes, I got to blow up, I got to do this, I got to do that. But the mission and approach that you all are taking with this platform and other platforms, it leads to that sustainability. And I think there is tremendous value in that, because if, going back to what you were talking about earlier, T, with respect to, wanting to make this a life for you, literally this being able to pay your bills and hopefully more than that, ultimately at some point, essentially this being the only thing with respect to content creation and the talk shows and other things that you are going to venture into with respect to art and the sanctuary entertainment as it stands is, I'm curious. Let me put it this way. I guess I'm curious to get your thoughts on this concept, because it comes up every so often when we start to talk about this type of topic. The importance of having, finding that tribe that you were kind of talking about, Danielle, that will lead to that sustainability, right? Which will ultimately lead to the dollars to allow anybody who wants to do something like this in the art, in any kind of creative form possible for themselves, the power of 1,000 fans, right? And I break it down like this, when it comes back to the money and making a living off of this, as you were talking about, T, is if you can find 1,000 fans that are willing to pour $8 into you, and that's what, one cup of coffee, depending where you're getting your coffee these days, per month, just per month, that is $96,000. Now, in today's terms, that might not be as much as it was even last year, if we're being honest. But at the same time, $96,000 to be made off of your art or something that you're passionate about and love, all you need is 1,000 people that are solidly and consistently, as you were talking about a few moments ago, Danielle, that's all you really need in order to at least make a sustainable life out of it. So when you hear it broken down in that capacity, what are your thoughts of just finding at least, I mean, obviously everybody would certainly want more than that, but if you have the power to reach 1,000 people on a consistent basis, having that lead to sustainability of what it is that you all are creating, not just with Close Up, but other things as well.
Oh yeah, I think that without trying to get in too tied up in the numbers, I think you have to have at least that. Even to it, even if we were to shop the shows with somebody else, you need at least that much to start shopping. To in the industry be validated.
Right.
And so we get a lot of likes and a lot of views on Instagram and TikTok because, like you said, it's basically become an advertisement.
Yeah.
They don't translate over to the show as much, and that's what we're trying to figure out. How do we do so that we can get there and be able to get to a point where we're like, okay, we can do this. Now let's come up with a business plan where we can start sustaining.
Right. Yeah. What I think about when I think of that is you got to get to, like, there are people who their reels and stuff do huge numbers and it doesn't go back to their content. And their content is the thing that they're actually working on. The reels and stuff, it takes you 10 minutes to crank that out if you're not thinking about it and you just go, But what is the connecting point to get it to come back to where it matters? Because, people seeing the stories of these artists is what matters. And the thing that we have found that is helping us with the connection and causing that to increase is not just the fans of that particular artist, but connecting with other artists. So a lot of the people who follow us are other artists, not just because they want their story told. Some of them we've approached and they said, we don't want to be on there, but we love seeing other people's stories. And that is the base that we're cultivating.
Yeah, and to that point, that was when I approached her. I said, yes, it's to feature other people's stories and everything, but there's also an educational aspect of it that somebody that has aspirations of doing what you do can hear your story and learn from it. When we ask questions about the pitfalls or the struggles or, how did this happen or what have you, it's coming from a perspective of wanting to have some questions in there to educate somebody else. So we also take that approach from it.
No, well said, and I'm living proof of that, and we'll talk more about that a little bit before we depart tonight. But Danielle, you were saying something I think that's very important, the storytelling aspect of it, right? And you do it your way. I not only experienced that with myself and being privileged and honored enough to be a guest with you guys. Um, when it comes to storytelling aspect of it, what really goes into that? Because every show is different. Obviously, you have a different artist, a different entrepreneur
Mhm.
on with every show. What's that process like for the both of you? Is it kind of split a certain percentage wise? Is that something that you're primarily doing as the host yourself, Danielle? And what's just that process of allowing you to tell this other person's story? What does that process like go like for you?
Well, I do write the scripts. I do the research on the artist. T does some research too, just to like, just so he can know what's going on. Because we try to get to know them, regardless of whose job is who. We try to get to know who we're dealing with. Neither one of us wants to be in the dark. But the goal is to focus in on why we want them on the show. What is it that caught us about them that we want to feature? And then what are the things surrounding that from experience that we have from talking to other artists and seeing the things that they've been going through? What is it that we want to know? What is the things that we become curious about as far as how they got to where they are? What are the challenges? Are there some unique things that we haven't presented before that we could talk about with this person? It's very intentional from that aspect. And it's taken a while to develop, because I mean, this is my first time doing this. Like I'm kind of, like you said, I'm kind of like, ooh, 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 this is shiny, this is pretty, and I want to talk about everything. But yeah, so his part is kind of helping it rein it in, because he's able to like kind of cut away at it and see and dissect a little bit more. Whereas I'm like, ooh, squirrel. And I'm like, grabbing at everything that's interesting. Because once I'm interested in you, I'm interested in everything. I'm like, oh, everything is interesting to me. But while that's good, focusing in on it a little bit more allows for us to not just have you on this time, but maybe another time, because maybe there's another facet that we want to talk about that we can delve into and cut away at, and maybe ask you some things that you hadn't thought about before.
Which is a perfect example of your show.
Mm.
So we knew you through this show.
Right.
And so our first angle was, we're wanting you to come on the show for this. And so we were building everything around that. And then when you started sending us your music video and everything, like, oh, we got to pivot. And so it's like, okay, let's change the focus. Let's change the focus to music, but we're going to talk about the show too. But what you're doing with the show, we want to expound on. So let's then take that further and create a whole show around just that.
No, fair enough. All right, follow-up question. And this is definitely going to both of you, because obviously you said you're very intentional. You certainly do a lot of research on the guests that you're coming in. Has there ever been a time, and you don't have to name names, but I'm not going to stop you if this ever did happen, but was there ever a guest that you did your research on and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a dope guest, and the show happens, and at the end of it, you were like, wow, that was not necessarily the same person per se that I did the research on, or maybe not the conversation that we thought we were gonna have. And when you get that curveball thrown, what was that experience like for you as well?
I can't come up with names right now. I'm not witting, but
Oh, I know somebody.
well, oh,
No, I mean, Stefan's show.
oh, well, okay, yeah,
It totally went someplace where
yeah, that's true.
I didn't think I had. If you see Stefan, he's so big, you know. And when he came on the show, you learned so much of why he's doing what he's doing,
Yep.
and how it's really a ministry for him, and had no idea was going to take that slant. But it was so interesting, and so you got to see him,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that's what I love. I love artists where I can see them in their art, and it just made me personally have a whole newfound respect for him and what he does.
No, I would agree. I definitely want your thoughts on that as well, Danielle,
Mhm.
because he's a family member here on the live cast as well, and we've had the
Mhm.
honor to have him on. And man, just a second what you said and expand on that a little bit, T. Like, what a beautiful human being, like
Yes.
for real.
Yeah.
And he is the human that allows that to be shown and shared through his art, and he does it his way,
Exactly.
authentically, with no let me put it this way, so unfucking apologetic,
Yeah.
100%.
all 10 toes down,
100%.
and I love that individual for it. So
Yeah.
I needed
Yeah.
to add to that as well,
Oh,
because
100%.
I share those same thoughts with you as well. So
Yeah.
didn't cut you off there, Danielle, but yeah, essentially anything that kind of jumps out to you from that question that I asked, where you just thought, man, this was just a completely different experience than I maybe thought it was going to be from the research I had done on this individual previous to sitting with them in person.
Yeah, I mean, it's so in the beginning, I think I had more expectations tied to what I had written and what I was going into in the interviews. And as it's gone on, I do have I do have a target. Like, we do tell them what the goals are and how we want them to how we want them to know that this is we are going to ask questions to get to a more educational type thing, but we also want to see them and feel them and hear them, because it's very important. I've learned to leave room in a way. Um, and so now I think there's times where I'm doing an interview and I don't look at my cards. Like, I don't so much ask the questions as I do try to pick up on things that they said and flip it into, okay, how can this be educational? Let me ask about this. And so as it's gone on, I've learned to give room for it. So it happens a lot more now than
But I would say, I think the main thing that you think it's going to go this way, and then the game times.
Okay. I can see that.
Doing all the research, thinking, okay, this would be the perfect game,
Yeah.
and then they don't know anything about what it
Yeah,
is.
that happened recently. So that did happen recently. So I was structuring a game time for somebody who was making a film. It was also a comedian, and they were into acting and stuff. And sometimes your point of reference, even if you're close in age with somebody, not everybody has the same points of reference.
Yeah.
And so and so when in the question, I was like, it was a game where we were playing like the dating game. And there
Okay.
was different things written on his cards that would be personality traits of the contestant, right? And so I'm asking the question. I think I asked the question of if you were an ice cream flavor, what flavor would you be? And on his card it said, this contestant thinks he's Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, shit.
And he looked at the card, and then he looked back at me, and he looked at the card, he looked back at me, and he said, I don't know who Hannibal Lecter is. And I said, oh.
And it's crazy too, because even just as a film actor, even if you have different points of reference, I mean, obviously that's definitely one of, man, I mean, like, fava beans and
exactly. That's what I said.
Like, just if you even don't know the movies, you've got to have you would think anyways that the majority of people, unless you live somewhere that doesn't have a TV or internet for like
Right.
their life,
about as old as me. Like, so I don't know. That was just one of the times where, like, you get a left curve. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. I assume too much.
and sometimes you just got to roll with it, right? I mean,
We did. We rolled with it. He has a pretty decent Trump impersonation. So I said, "Oh, orange sherbet." So that's how that ended.
you freestyled it on the point, and that's also a quality of someone when it comes to being an interviewer and doing shows of any kind. You got to be able to think on your feet as well, which is very important because whether it's live conversations or conversations that are filmed, like you obviously want to have the best show that you possibly can as well at the end of the day. And shit happens, and shit that you can't control happens
Yeah, 100%.
as well. Kind of sticking with this theme real quick for a little bit before we pivot. Has there ever been an answer to a question or an inquiry that you had gotten where it just for one reason or another, that shit just shocked you, and you were just like, "Oh, hold on, I'm doing this interview. Let me get back to it." You know what I mean?
Okay, so it wasn't exactly a question in the interview that I asked, but it was a question they asked me, and then when I answered, their response shocked me. So, so we were talking about a very sensitive subject, right? A very harrowing time in their life, and then we had to stop for a technical reason and do the takeover again. And so we started the same question over again. We knew what path he knows what I'm talking about now. We knew what path we were supposed to go down because we literally just had this conversation. And they asked me, can I be frank? And I said, sure. And then they used the big R word. And I mean, on YouTube, that's a big no.
Yeah.
But like before, when we were talking, it wasn't going that way. And then, so when we did the next tape, it did go that way. So I wasn't expecting it. Otherwise, I would have prefaced with, how frank?
Yeah, that individual had some time to think about what their actual response was going to be and how they were.
Just on YouTube, like, saying on live stream, yeah, you can say whatever, and I want this person to tell their story because that's why we brought them on, because we knew that this was part of their story. But like, she got raw. And so it just was what it was, you know what I'm saying? And that was the moment. But it caught me off guard because like we were just here.
It caught us both off guard because I'm in there like, oh my gosh, now I gotta edit this out. And what? I
mean, the story, we don't alter the story or anything like that. But of course, when you're on YouTube, YouTube is weird, and it's a barrier. It's a barrier. We don't let it stop us from talking about real things and letting people tell their stories, but we let them know that's the game since this is our main platform. You know what I'm saying? But as far as anything else that was like super shocking, I can't really think of anything else that was super. She's actually very prone to saying a lot of off the cuff stuff. So that wasn't the only thing that happened.
I can appreciate that. Now it's a little different for T, because T, you're sitting off in production while these conversations are going on. So kind of along the same lines, has there ever been a point where you're sitting there, everything's just rolling kind of along, you're like, holy shit, did that just happen? Or did that person just say that? And then when it comes to the editing, how does that affect when it comes down to the editing thing, whether it's the instance that Danielle just spoke on or just kind of in general where you're like, holy shit, wow, that did just happen, because you have more time to like stop and like process shit than an interviewer like Danielle would be.
Nope, I just gotta keep going.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what really makes it hard is while we're in it, I'm like, oh my god, okay, and I immediately start going to how am I going to edit this out? What am I going to do? All that. But because we shoot a season in advance, it's 3 to 6 months later before I actually get to edit. And now I'm like, oh my God, I know something happened during this episode. So, but where was it? And so I am like, I've missed a couple. I've missed a couple.
But there's a time where you're like, somebody cussed, you're like, oh, he cussed like 3 times. And then you find out, no, it was the entire episode. And so like 80% of the episode is bleeped because
it's just got to be what it's got to be at that point.
Yeah.
I can very much appreciate that. Do you find it challenging for yourself, T, when you're editing down? Because you guys will typically film a little longer than what the actual episode will be when it's put out. What challenges do you face? Because you clearly get a lot of good content when you're sitting with these individuals. So what's that process like for you? If you're like, oh man, I want to, we're definitely trying to keep it packaged to, what we are going to package this in with respect to time frame. But what's that process like for you when you're like, oh man, that's good. I want to keep it in. So should we cut this out? Do you find yourself struggling that with that ever when you're in the editing room?
Oh yeah, quite often. Well, first of all, I have ADHD, so sitting down, focusing, trying to edit and I don't take my medicine, so it is very just editing. Period is very hard for me. Um, but it's really understanding the interview from start to finish to know what to put in it. Sometimes I can edit it as it goes along. It all depends on her flow.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in context with, okay, this is what we brought them on for, so we're going to start off talking about that, and we're going to sprinkle in some more, and then pick back up to what we brought them on for. Then that's easier than if the conversation style starts going here, there, everywhere, and then I have to move stuff around to make it make sense in the scheme of things. Because like when we first started, the whole concept of the intro was to come in with our intro and then go into a clip of what the artist is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes it's very hard to get those clips from the artist and to put it in there. And so for the first 5 seasons, it was hit or miss. And then with this season, since we changed the set, we changed the intro. This is our 6th season. So we were like, let's take this up a notch. It's that time, So I've been, well, if they don't provide it, I'll go try to find something and put it together myself to put it in the intro. So, but by doing that, I don't get the reaction in the interview from her going into the interview. So I have to make it make sense. I think that's one of the hardest things is getting the transitions right.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense because you kind of have an overall theme going on and you want to make sure that you're sticking to the theme of what that episode is kind of like you had mentioned primarily about. So I could very much see that being quite a challenge. But you do it well in the end. And that's what's most important, even if it challenges you for one reason or another.
When we first started off, I was a stickler. Danielle, you got to keep it at 30 minutes. This is killing me. I can't get this down. But then when we started deciding to post it as an audio podcast as well as the TV show, then I was like, we have to have more content. We want them to be able to go to the audio podcast and get more than what they're seeing on the video, or why would they go, right?
Right.
So it does make it harder in that aspect because she usually edits the podcast, so it's more chronological to the conversation.
Gotcha.
Whereas sometimes she moves stuff around, but yeah, sometimes I have to listen to the whole thing over again to understand where everything needs to fit.
And sometimes I have to do that too, which kills me because it's like I'm a podcast listener, and so I am used to that more flowy type, which is allowed in that, But there are times where I'm like, yeah, you kind of took a left turn there, Danielle. Probably need to take that and put that over here because that part of the conversation makes more sense. And then that way, people won't be like, oh, that's coming back for no reason. I'm like, oh no, let's put it over here. Like,
having some stuff to it. I can appreciate that.
I mean, it's helping me to see my patterns as well, because like once I start talking to somebody, and especially if it's like a good back and forth, it's kind of hard, you know.
You could go left
Like,
very easily in just that natural conversation. So I feel exactly what you're saying there. Speaking of kind of going back to the beginning, because the general kind of psychology or thought behind content creation, such as your platforms, it generally takes maybe a year, give or take, to really understand how you want that to look, right? Or until you really kind of fully develop, until you be like, all right, this is exactly what the platform is not only about, but this is how it's going to flow and go from here on out. And clearly the mission has not changed and will never change. But is that something that you found you're two experiencing, and maybe it wasn't a year, maybe it was 6 months, maybe it was a year and a half, whatever the case is that something that you found to really understand not the mission of the show, but the true identity of the platform that you were looking to have with the Getting Close Up platform that y'all have?
Um, I would say it's been the same since the beginning. We've refined it as we went along, but I knew in creating the show, I wanted to do it differently. That's why we call it a talk show. We shoot it like a talk show. We shoot a season in advance, and that's a lot. One of the reasons is because we both work very demanding jobs where we work overtime and stuff all the time. And in order to step into this, we knew we had to be consistent.
yes.
And in order for us to be successful, along with my ADHD, and mind you, we started with 7 people.
Yeah.
So it would have been more achievable to shoot and go, but we originally was like, no, we're going to shoot a season in advance and do this. We started meeting in August of 2022, August of 2022. And we really met and we talked about what this was going to be and really drove that home for about 6 months before we even started doing test shoots. And then once we got through the test shoots, we was like, okay, let's put a date in the sand and that's when we're going to go and that's where we're going to meet. So let's do it. And that's what we did. We took about 3 months to shoot. We were doubling up, shooting, and everything to try to make it happen. And we met our goal, and we've been going along ever since. Like I said, it's been refining.
Yeah.
It's been refining. But the whole let's do this different. That's why I built a set. I picked out all the furniture, everything, because I wanted a totally different look. And it's funny the reaction that we get when people come over to shoot the show. It's like they're like pulling up to a house that's black, and they're like, okay, and then they get in and they're like, wow, I would have never known all this was down here, and it just and that makes us feel good.
Yeah. No, it does.
Intentional. It's intentional.
Yeah.
No different. This everything about you two and the content that you are putting out and the mission is extremely intentional.
I mean, look around us.
and that's exactly where I was going to segue next, because Getting Close Up is not the only thing, and you are not on people. If you have not seen the Getting Close Up talk show, that is something that you need to go and see. It is on YouTube. But I can tell you, because I've seen it and I've been there live and in person, they are not currently on the set of Getting Close Up. Danielle, you want to go ahead and let the people outside with us, whether they're watching live or they're going to catch this after the fact down the road, where are you currently on the set of, and how also do I get me one of them fridges behind T?
So we are currently on the set of a new show that we're working on called Queen's Kitchen. and we both like food. We both like watching the different reels where they give like these weird recipes and things like that. And so we often get together at the beginning of the year and we talk about like what types of shows do you want to do, what types of ideas do you have, and we kind of plot those down and put a pin in them and see where our skill sets change and what new things that we learn and go, oh, you know what, this is kind of doable now. Let's look at this. So we had the thought to have a show hosted by a drag queen where they will take different recipes from social media they find on the internet and try to recreate them.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're gonna throw some weird ones at them, but it's mostly and then to have them have a guest on to try the crazy concoctions with them.
Like that.
But it's meant to be light and fun and focused on the personality of the drag queen and the hijinks and the camp of it all. But just like really focused on something that's fun and silly and just literally leaning into their personality.
I love it. Have you guys started production, or how close are, if you haven't yet, how close are we to production of that show? Because the set is there. The set is there. So I got to ask, how close are we to getting the Queen's Kitchen from the Sanctuary Entertainment?
So we're going to shoot in 3 weeks. We're calling it our test shoot because it's going to be our first shoot, but hopefully it comes out well enough where we can consider it our first shoot and then continue to build. And then what will happen is on the off season of Getting Close Up, we'll air Queen's Kitchen.
Nice.
Yeah. So the idea is to like, well, when we're having our off season, what other content, what's something else that we can have out there so that the wheel keeps turning, so we can continually have something out there and get a chance to work on other projects that we want to work on. So yeah, that's one of the goals.
No, I love that idea. Speaking of other projects, anything else that you guys have kind of maybe baking in the incubator right now that we might see coming up? And we're talking kitchen, so being cooked up from you guys in the future, in addition to, of course, to Getting Close Up, and certainly now Queen's Kitchen that goes on a test shoot here in 3 weeks. What else can we maybe expect from the both of you together, or either of you even individually as well, that you might be working on?
My pet project right now that we're going to be working on, that we're currently working on, and hopefully we'll start rearing its ugly head sometime this year, is the one good thing about being exposed to all the different artists is when you come up with a crazy idea that you need a lot of artists on, then you have people that you can reach out to and see if they want to be a part. And so I had experienced this young guy that lives up the street from me that I've been trying to mentor, been in a lot of troubles in the streets and everything like that. He was wanting to be a rapper. So I was like, hey man, you keep your nose clean. I'll help you out any way you can. And so one night, like 2:00 in the morning, he came over my house. I was like, bam, 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 bam. And I'm like waking up out of my sleep. My dog's going crazy. And I go to the door and I'm looking and I don't see him. And I look up the street towards his house and it looks like he's wrestling with somebody. So I throw on some clothes and go up the street to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? And actually, he was trying to get his friend down to the ground because he was ODing on fentanyl. And so that he made it through. He did not die, but it impacted me so deeply that the next day I put together a beat for a song called "Fentanyl Hell No," and I got 13 artists, five vocalists, 5 singers, and the rest are rappers on the track. And everybody's got 4 bars, and it's coming off amazing. It really is. It sounds really good. We're gonna do a music video to it. We're gonna do a behind the scenes documentary. Danielle's gonna do a special show with everybody that's on the song. We're once we get the video and the documentary and everything together, I want to shop it with some organizations and partner with them, because all proceeds that we'll make will go to help bring awareness, and we'll give it to that foundation of about opioid abuse or whatever that we partner with, and it'll all go there. I'm hoping to put together a concert where all the artists on the song have their own set, and at the end they all come together and do the song. So that's my passion project right now, that I'm trying to get off the ground.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And again, something that needs to be spoken about consistently and by everybody who, even if you're not feeling that, like, I mean, we're talking about, the amount of people that overdose, things like that. And sometimes unknowingly, because there's so many things out these days getting laced with fentanyl.
Exactly.
The more education, the better. And that's really with anything, but certainly on this passion project. So, man, big salute to you on picking up that mantle. And again, the universe will throw signs at us when we least expect them, man. And I'm sure the last thing that you were thinking of in that moment when that experience was happening, that you had mentioned at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, that this is what was going to come of it. But clearly you're somebody who has their mind open to the signs that the universe shows us. And you picked it up and ran with it. So, man, kudos to the universe and the creator showing you that. And then you, having the passion to pick it up and run with it, man. So
thank you to all the artists that decided to be a part of
100%.
it. I mean, this happened a year ago. And trying to get everybody that said yes, they would do it, and get them in the studio to record it with two different things. So I kudos to all the artists that actually came through and made this happen. It's so appreciative.
Oh, I'm looking forward to every aspect of it. The song, the documentary, anything that you guys are going to be doing with this. I'm very, very excited for in that respect as well. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. In addition to that, Danielle, anything else going on, that we should know about the people outside with us tonight, or that's going to catch us down the road that we should know that might be coming from you or Sanctuary Entertainment with respect to things that you guys are working on?
So, okay, wait.
Movie.
Oh,
that you're in.
Movie. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't know we had a movie star with us tonight. Let's talk about that real quick.
One line. One line. So doing the show, we met an independent filmmaker named Mario. What's his name? Lee. There it is, Mario Lee. And he had told the story of working on this movie for over 20 years and how life just kind of kept setting him back. But he finally decided he's going to get it done. And we loved his story. And then after we taped the episode, which didn't end up coming out, and I'll tell you why. He went to T and he's like, man, you got this studio back here and stuff. He's like, would you like to, I need some music for this movie. And so now T has been working on the soundtrack for the movie that this independent filmmaker has been working on. And so he's created an entire soundtrack. And then he had asked, he was like, hey, would you like to come on and be an extra on set? I'm like, sure, I'd love to be an extra. He's like, okay, well, now you have a line.
Now you have a part.
Love it.
A part. So I am DJ one.
Day one, I like it.
Which I've always wanted to be a DJ. Like, that's something I just haven't found time to do yet. Since the radio show got ripped up from me, I should figure out something.
So yeah, we're working on that too.
There's some other show ideas that, because like I said, we all talk about the things that we want to do, and I tried to think of something where like one of the problems with how to solve a problem that I have, you know, that other people may have. But for me, I hate shopping for myself, and I hate trying to find clothes for myself because I really don't like going to the store. I don't like shopping because I never can find what it is that fits me, like, you know, what I have a vision for myself. And in working with all these independent artists and creatives, I'm like, how do I figure out something where I can include designers and solve this problem for myself and have things that I can wear on the show that are reflective of other creatives? So there's something that I'm working on around that.
I like it.
Not sure when things are coming along because we are working on this concert, and that's a huge passion project, and I can't wait to see that come together. But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of different ideas that we have.
I love it. And I have no doubt whatever you both, you know, individually together and individually together, whatever makes sense to you both, it's going to be done. It's going to be done right. It's going to be done with intention and
Thank
with
you.
nothing but the authenticness that you both bring, you know, from the time that I've gotten to know you, learn about you and learn about your projects. I have no doubt that anything that you guys touch is going to be the way that it should be done. And I salute the both of you for the intent of pureness and authenticness that you take to everything, because I feel, especially in a world these days that is highlighted, highlighted by
Mhm.
AI, stick to the script of human creation, and it's going to put you both on that path to making this thing called art and content creation and anything that falls under that umbrella a very, very sustainable lifestyle for you both. And I'm excited to continue to follow your journey on that path, because I really have a great appreciation for individuals such as yourself that brings that true uh, intent for creation, especially from the human side and the education side, and telling people stories to it. So you've already had my support. You will continue to have my support. And I will say to you now, what I said to you when I left the studio the last time: if there's truly anything that I can ever do from my end to help forward or support your mission any further, all you got to do is say, you don't even got to ask. You have it. Undoubtedly, I don't even got to ask any questions. You could just say, this is what
Thank
we're
you so
doing.
much.
And I truly mean that, because I believe in the both of you. I believe in the missions, plural, of what it is that you are doing. And iron sharpens iron. Um, and I've learned from you guys throughout this experience and getting to know you and being a guest on your platform and talk show of Getting Close Up. And I'm grateful for it, you know, undoubtedly. So, that's where I'm going to leave it. But before we start to officially close out the show, I always want to make sure if there's anything that we did not talk about or anything that needs to be mentioned, I want to make sure that I give our guests the opportunity to go ahead and just share any final thoughts before we close the door on everybody watching outside with us here live.
Well, I do want to share that we just finished taping our retro show for season 6. We did that Sunday, and that is going to be airing on April 17th. On April 17th, and it's
Yep.
basically we do it because we tape a season in advance. We when between the time when the episode has been taped and when it goes out, we like to have them come back on and catch up, find out what they've been up to, how the show impacted them, and just see what they have going on. And we had 5 guests come back for that, and we caught up with them. It was a great time. Normally, we have a a different person like hosting it other than me to like kind of give that other perspective. You know what I'm saying? Not just to give me a break, but like to get that other
I
perspective.
appreciate that. Yep.
Yeah, but I ended up hosting this one, which was my first time hosting them since we've done it in 6 seasons. And it was really fun. So I really I hope if you haven't caught up with the show yet, if this is your first time hearing of us, you can definitely check that out, get an idea of everything that we do, and go back and watch some of the full episodes or listen to the podcast.
There you go. T, what you got for us? Any final thoughts to be shared?
All you independent artists and creatives out there, we do this for you. It can be, you don't have to be in Kansas City.
No.
You can be anywhere in the world. We will Zoom you in for the episode if you're not in Kansas City. We're actually going to St. Louis in a couple of weeks, actually on the 17th, to interview a couple of artists from there in person.
Yeah.
So trying to broaden our territory as well. But we're doing this for you guys. If you have a desire to tell your story, we want to give you that opportunity. So go out to our website, www.thesaint.com. Go to the GCU page, and on there is our guest request form. Fill out that form, and that starts the whole process. From there, you'll get a guest profile for you to fill out so that we could do the research on you. And then the next process is to schedule you for a episode, and you too can be sitting in the purple chairs.
Yeah, it's also the link to the guest request form is also on our bio on our Instagram page at GCU_TV. So you can find it there too. Go ahead and give us a follow.
And the YouTube channel as well. What's the YouTube channel that people can go and catch up on all these episodes? And any specific platforms where they can find the podcast version of this talk show as well.
The podcast version is streaming on all podcast platforms. So anywhere you listen to podcasts, you'd be able to catch that. And again, it is a longer episode than what you see on the YouTube channel. But our YouTube channel is The Sanctuary Entertainment, and it's THE lowercase capital S Sanctuary Entertainment. All one word.
We'll make sure when this gets posted to YouTube, we'll make sure that goes in the comments, all the respective links, so people can go ahead and find you there as well. And any artist that is hearing this, whether it's now live with us or after the fact, I implore you to get in the purple chair for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's an opportunity to tell your story, to have your story be told with, again, I can't say it enough, people who are doing this on a mission for the right reasons. It will be, trust me, it will be fun. It will be fun if you allow it to be. So it's a vibe. It's a good time. It's a talk show that is not messy. That's another thing that I really appreciate about you guys, because there's a lot of talk shows and podcasts and live cast and streamers where their shtick, let's call it, is to go out there and just create the messiest fucking show possible. And be that as it may, I do not subscribe to that, because there is already too much negativity going and ugliness going on in the world. That is already covered. Already covered. If you want a true experience, or if you're somebody that is an independent artist or an up-and-coming artist, or you can go out and kill it on stage, but you want more to be known about your story, it's a very comfortable environment where you have the ability to do that as well. So I truly implore any independent artist watching this, whether you are in the Kansas City area or even if you're outside the Kansas City area, as T said, they will Zoom you in. Doesn't mean they're going to fly you in, people.
No. I can't afford the royalties. You should get a plane ticket.
That's the disclaimer. I needed to make sure that we put the disclaimer.
One day, not today.
You're like, yo, Mike, these motherfuckers looking for a plane ticket and a hotel room, and they only want blue M&Ms and only red Swedish fish. And
right.
No. They will get with you on a Zoom type of session for outside the Kansas City area people.
We do have snacks. But we don't do specific snacks.
They got good snacks. They got good drinks too. From that apple Red Bull to that white peach pear. Let me tell you, that's exactly where it's at. So listen, to the both of you, before I close the door on everybody that's watching live, I'll end, and you guys will still be here until you get off. But thank you for the time. Thank you for the continued authenticness. I appreciate the conversation. I was very much looking forward to this because I got to know you, but now I got to know, and I certainly knew the show. And even though we got to interact on a couple occasions, this was an opportunity for me to not only get to know you and the history of the show, as well as what else you got going on coming up for us in the future. It was an opportunity which, again, people who are doing real things out here, that's the same reason that we use our platform, as you obviously got to learn when I was a guest, again, so honorably on your show as well. So I wanted to make sure that we put you respectfully in a spotlight to let people know that there is a lot of authentic content out here, specifically with Getting Close Up and everything that's coming from the Sanctuary Entertainment Company. That is not messy. It is of pure intent. It is educational. And we need more of the two of you and what it is that you're doing in this world. So truly, thank you on behalf of myself and my co-host OG Dooney, who sends his regards because he was not able to be with us tonight. We both thank you. Welcome officially to the We Outside family. Y'all are welcome back anytime that you want. Our We Outside Legacy page is a page where we utilize now. If there's anything that you ever want to promote or anything that you got going on, if you want to get it out to more eyes, add us as a collaborator. We will accept it because we pivoted that page specifically as the legacy page to show old clips or old shows, but also as an opportunity for our family members to have an open invitation to use that platform as a collaboration at any given time that that you ever feel warranted. You don't have to be obligated, but that's why it's an open invitation. So there you go. Y'all, appreciate y'all very much. All right, outsiders, you already know what it is. That is the end of our live, authentic, real conversation with Danielle and T from Getting Close Up. Now, Queen's Kitchen. Some more things coming on with the fentanyl. You go ahead.
Hell no.
I knew I was gonna fuck that up. Just like the first time when I said getting up close. Fuck that. You got it right, and that's the beauty about being able to retake. So now y'all really have to tap in with these two individuals because that's about as factual as I can be. If you don't want to believe anything else from this conversation, believe that shit right there. Y'all need to tap in with Getting Close Up, and that's where I'll leave it. Again, as always, this has been the Outside Livecast. Danielle T, Getting Up Close to Sanctuary Entertainment Group. And as always, if you are down with real conversation, y'all need to stay locked in to this situation. Remember, always, we outside.